What's up, everybody? It's your boy Snake Prince Elias, and this is the Snake Prince Vlogs. And today I got a very important topic I want to talk about. But first, I'm in my official first classroom. I'm teaching first grade. I've been in the school system for 7 or 8 years now as a teacher assistant, but now I am officially the teacher of the classroom. I'm super excited, and so as you can see the chaos behind me, today I have to straighten up and put tables where they need to be put and figure this room out. But I will say I'm excited. But while we're here, there's a very important topic that I need to discuss about this situation that went viral. It's on Facebook about 2 incidents where venomous snakes were in the school classroom. So let's get to it. All right. Again, ignore the backdrop. Once my sisters and I get this classroom together, it's gonna look fine. And I will do a vlog showing the before and after we fix this place up. But anyways, speaking of classrooms, let's talk about the situation with both the Gaboon Viper and a timber rattlesnake at these public schools / daycares. For those who know me and my job, Creative Reptile, started strictly photo shoots, music videos, the creative life, people renting out snakes for different things, product photography, stuff like that, modeling, fashion shows. We've done a couple of those, and then also the educational shows. So I've been invited to several schools in Tennessee to showcase my reptiles and educate the public, especially young children, about these wonderful animals. And I love it. I love what I do. It's a very big passion of mine. Education is such a passion of mine that I'm in grad school right now, and I'm currently a teacher, a working teacher, first grade. So this stuff I take serious. I take so serious, because snakes, big lizards, alligators, caimans, you name it, they have such a bad stigma. And you have idiots like Joe Rogan and other people, these Florida governors and other people, constantly spewing misinformation about these snakes, and politicians trying to pass laws to ban people from keeping these snakes. And even certain states like mine, Tennessee, some people have tried to pass bills. Luckily, they've been stopped thanks to USR. Shout out to USR. Tried to pass bills banning educational shows, things that I do in the state with these reptiles. So, what am I talking about? For the first time ever, y'all know I be freestyling on my vlogs. For the first time ever, I have notes to keep me intact. So what's been going on? So a couple of days ago on Facebook, a lady posted pictures. Well, a teacher, I think, posted pictures of a man with a timber rattlesnake at I want to say 2nd or 3rd grade class, showcasing these animals. And the picture was taken of the man, and of course they blurred out the kids' faces, but the man was on the floor, kneeled down on the floor with the glass tank and the timber rattlesnake, and he has his hand, I guess, on the timber rattlesnake's tail, and he's letting a student, a child, a 3rd grader, whatever, touch the timber rattlesnake by the tail. And I will break down my issues with that situation, interactions. Then on the flip side, I think at a different school or a different place, actually they said we thought it was a school. It was actually a daycare. So it's not even a school where they do a lot of background checks and where they vet the people they bring to do types of presentations like this. It was a daycare where a woman is free handling a Gaboon Viper in front of all these kids, walking very close to them, There was no showing of kids touching it. I don't think she allowed them to touch it, but she's free handling, no hooks, no gloves, no protective gear, free handling the Gaboon Viper in front of these kids, and she's walking around the classroom close enough to where, because y'all think Gaboon Vipers just because they're chunky that they don't have a good striking distance. Trust me, if the Gaboon Viper wanted to strike, it could reach the kids, or the teachers, staff, whatever. So here's my issues with both situations. Now, let me get to my notes. So I broke down the two situations, and they both kind of, I want to say these both pictures dropping on Facebook around the same time was I wish the conspiracy theorists in me want to say it was calculated by who knows, people who just don't like reptiles, but I'm not going to get into that. But and there were people coming out saying, oh, it's fake, it's Photoshop, those pictures are Photoshop. No, there's actually video footage of the woman with the Gaboon Viper. And I am a photographer. For those who don't know, I'm a photographer. I work in the creative space. I know photographers who are very good at Photoshop. I know photographers who work with AI and all this other stuff. That shit was real. Nothing fake, nothing AI, nothing Photoshopped about both of those situations. I can spot those a mile away because AI isn't perfect. They have not perfected it yet. And Photoshop, even the best of the best, you can still spot that it's Photoshop. But anyways, so these are very, very real photos, and there was a video clip, but I think the original poster deleted. But luckily someone had screen recorded that video before the video got deleted, and it was been reposted on Twitter and things like that. But here is my issues. First of all, I will make this disclaimer. I have no issues with venomous keepers. I have no issues with venomous educators. I have no issues with people owning these snakes. I have no issues. This video is not to tell people to never own venom. This is not a video bashing anybody who owns venom. This isn't an I'm gonna let y'all know right now, I am not an anti-Tyler Nolan person. I'm not an anti-Chandler's Wildlife. I think those guys serve their purpose. And there's venomous keepers who don't do free handling, who are on social media, maybe not as big on YouTube, but they do it Instagram, where they actually show that they keep these animals, they breed these animals, and they use tools like tongues and hooks and things like that. I'm not here to police anybody or to say venom keeping should never happen, because they do serve their purpose. They really do, in multiple ways. And that could be a totally different subject, totally different video. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there. I am not beefing with the venom community, and I'm not saying that venomous, there's no purpose of keeping venomous. Grown people can do what they do. I am of the mindset of, you know, the risks, and if you choose to go that route, whether professional, personal, whatever, you know the consequences and you're willing to take that risk. But that is personal. For me, you can't force that risk on other people. And that's my issue with this situation. You owning a venomous, perfectly fine. You know the risk, you took it. You educating people on venomous, perfectly fine. Let's do that. The more education we put out there in the world, the better. But there is a way of doing it, a proper way of doing it, without putting that risk on other people. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look back at my notes because I don't want to forget the important parts. Shout out to Derek from Derek's Reptiles. He also made a video, and I love his points because he said a point that that I didn't even think of off the bat, especially if you guys are on my Instagram. I did go on Instagram Live and discuss this situation, and I was ranting, I was mad, I was heated, and I said a lot of things, a lot of foul things. But Derek had a lot of cohesive points, so I will put the link of that video in my description. Go watch that. He did great things. He said a point that I did not think of. Derek said, from Derek's Reptile, said, you don't want to show kids that it's okay to just pick up a venomous snake with no protection, no hooks, no gloves, no nothing. If kids, especially these young age kids, these like the preschool with the gaboon viper, or the second or third grade, I want to say it was the third grade with the timber rattlesnake, you don't want to show, even though you know your snake is good, and you know how to read the body language, and you can free handle this snake, no problems. You don't want to set a precedent and show those kids it's okay, because those kids will see you and your snake and your interaction and your relationship with that animal, and they think that if they see that in the wild, they're going to go out and they could free handle a snake. Now, luckily, gaboon vipers are not native to Tennessee, I don't believe, but the timber rattlesnakes are. The rattlesnakes are. And you don't want a child to see this educational show at school, fall in love with snakes, love snakes, but then if they're in their backyard, or they're in their family go camping, or they're on their vacation, or they go somewhere and they witness a snake out in the wild, that they just free handle and pick it up. That's a recipe for disaster. So I will shout out and give credit to Derek for that point, because I wasn't even thinking about that, like the implications, because children are sponges. As a teacher, I can tell you right now, children are sponges. They take in everything. Even when you don't think they're paying attention, they take in. But the issue is, at a certain age, they don't understand context clues. They don't understand that, hey, they can't compartmentalize everything. Like, hey, this is just a specific snake with a specific handler, and they have a specific relationship, and they can't correlate that this is just this isolated incident, and they'll automatically think that all wild venomous snakes, or all wild snakes in general, even non-venomous snakes, they just pick up and handle with their hands, bare hands, and no problem. And so that does set a very bad precedent, and put a lot of innocent children at risk if they were to encounter any venomous snake out in the wild, or even in their backyards. So yes, that is a big risk. Also, this can greatly, these two stories, if it gets traction and it get big enough, it can greatly affect educational programs and private keeping, like the things that I do, the things that Tyler Nolan does as keeping animals. I put in my notes America versus South Africa. Now, I love South Africa for various reasons, but when it comes to reptiles, South Africa got this mentality that if you handle a venomous snake, if you own a venomous snake, and if you get bit and die from that venomous snake, that's on you. They're not going to make laws banning people from keeping them. They're not going to make laws banning people from interacting, working with them, handling them, rescuing them. They're not FWC, basically. They're not going to punish the entire reptile community because of an idiot. A lot of people spoke about this. If you watch Lady Tiz Exotics and you seen her interview with a guy named Denzel who lives in Africa, he preached that, as well as because his job, he actually goes out and rescue and relocate venomous snakes from people's backyards and keep people from killing them if they come across a snake. And also Dingo Dinkelman, he also said this in an interview with a different podcast about, hey, if you get bit by a snake, if you handle these snakes, you get bit by a snake, that's on you. We don't have to, because someone specifically asked him about their South African laws and venom keeping and venom handling and snake handling, and he said they pretty much never have to worry about what we have to worry about in America, with FWC and with the government and people passing bills and PETA and all this other stuff. Because it is common sense and it is understood that if you take that risk, that is on you, and we're not going to punish the entire community. But in this country, in the country we live in America, we don't have that same mentality. We don't have that same. So we have to stick with reality. I wish the whole world thought the way South Africa thinks when it comes to reptiles, but unfortunately, That's not reality. That's not the world we live in. We live in America, and in America, if there's any negative press on reptiles and reptile keepers, it falls on us, and they try to make bills and pass laws that affect us. And so these situations, let's just say that kaboom viper or that timber rattlesnake bit one of the kids, or even bit the handler, and it made national news, because it's making big news, and it's going over social media just off these pictures, and nothing bad happened. But if something bad happened, guess what? You're going to have people like FWC, you're going to have people like Peter, you're going to have all these senators trying to pass bills and laws that will destroy what I do, the educational shows, destroy what a lot of private keeping, people who keep these animals, love these animals, and they don't. There are a lot of venom keepers that don't even show them on social media. You just gotta know. It's just word of mouth. You just know who it is. Or they might post a picture or two on Instagram every once in a blue moon. But they don't do all that free handling and showboating and all that other stuff. And stuff like this will affect them. They're just minding their own business, living their lives and caring for their animals. And situations like this could get it to where they will get in trouble. It's unfortunate, and I wish it wasn't the way it is in this country, but it is this way in this country, and unfortunately we have to deal with these type of situations, which is frustrating to me that these two individuals did such stupid things like this. And also, you're risking being sued. What if something happened to one of those babies? Like I said, even though the woman with the kaboom viper didn't let the kids touch the snake, that kaboom viper was at striking distance of those kids. You could get sued by the parents, you get sued by the daycare or the school, you get sued by so many things. If you don't care about anything else, that will ruin you personally, snake handler. That will ruin you personally, and you might get jail time if it bit the child and the child died. Like, okay, I do my educational shows. Now, my reptiles that I've done and took to schools, I took a leopard gecko, I took ball pythons, I took a boa constrictor. And one day I will take my blood python to Vici. I'm just still working with him because I'm a responsible keeper, I'm a responsible handler, and I want him to be tame enough to be able to be around other people without freaking out. You know what I'm saying? And I want him to be comfortable even if nobody touches him, and I just have him on a table while I talk and educate people about him. I want him to be comfortable to where he's not stressed out, hissing, puffing, you know what I'm saying? But even with those harmless, non-venomous snakes, guess what? I have to go through a lot of hoops and hurdles just to get approved to visit these schools. The people who want to book me have to go through a lot of hoops and hurdles and waivers and consent forms and permission slips and all this other stuff just for me to bring the non-venomous animals. Which is why I'm more pissed off that this happened at a daycare, where daycares, depend on your state and depend on your city and place, it's not that regulated like a school system, like an actual school system. It's not as regulated. You can just call your homeboy who has a snake and say, hey, come show these off to the kids, no problem. Whereas people like me who actually go to actual school system, public, private, charters, whatever, there is a lot of hurdles, hoops, and so that it minimizes the risks. And these are non-venomous snakes that I take. Minimizes the risks and also protects everybody involved. It protects me legally. It protects the school districts legally. It protects the children. It protects the teachers. So much stuff to go through. So I'm trying to see how this woman got approved to go to these schools with the kaboom viper. And again, that was a daycare, so that was easy. And just free handle. Or the man, again with the timber rattlesnake, and just let a child touch the timber rattlesnake. While the timber rattlesnake, the reason I got an issue with that picture, and I'm going to post it in this vlog, is that the timber rattlesnake, you can see it while it's in his tank. Yes, his head is in the tank, but he's in the S position. And he is in the striking position. And it takes just a millisecond, not even a full second, If that snake wanted to bite that child, the moment that child touched that snake, there was no protecting. That snake would have got her. If it wanted her, it would have got her. Pop. Real fast. Snakes are fast. Non-venomous, venomous, fat, skinny, colubrid, boa, python, it don't matter. They are fast. Boop. And that's my biggest issue with that. Now, some people say now there are some people on social media saying venomous should never be in a school system setting whatsoever. Take them to a zoo, take them to a private facility where there's a big glass wall, yada, yada, yada. Like what Chandler does with his king cobra now that he has private tours. It's a big enclosure with a big giant glass, a barrier to protect the public from the animal. I'm not saying that snakes, venomous snakes, should never be in a school setting. I'm just saying there is a decorum, there is a proper way of doing it. Because I've seen it. I've seen educational shows, not me personally, but educational shows from other people who go to schools. They might be in a library setting, a cafeteria setting, a classroom, it doesn't matter, where they have a table. The table is probably a couple of feet back away from the kids. They have a glass container, a glass enclosure with the actual venomous snake in it. And the keeper will leave the snake in the glass while they talk about it and give the facts. And then there are times where they might pull the snake out away from the glass barrier to give people a closer look. But they had hooks, they had gloves, and they did not allow anybody to go near that table. And for those naysayers who are like, but the snake is tame, the snake is cool, the snake is defanged, the snake, mouth is taped up, the snake is super chill, super cool, super calm. I'm not worried about the snake in most of these situations. Now, I'm going to tell y'all from my personal experience, because I've been to several different schools, several different classrooms, several different situations, several different grade levels. I've done middle, high, and elementary. The snakes ain't my issue. The most predictable people in the room are the students. I've been in situations with my non-venomous snakes, my boas, my ball pythons, my crested gecko, where the teachers aren't paying attention. There's no real classroom management going on, really. And the snakes are out. I got a table set up. I'm good, situated. But then a student just jumps up and runs. And before you know it takes a few seconds, that child is up on me and the snake. The most unpredictable situation and being in those rooms are the kids. Especially when you're down in elementary. All it took is one child, run, jump up and run, and they're fast. Teacher turn their head one and they gone. And the child runs up to the handler and the snake, and they get in within striking distance of that snake, and they spook the snake. The snake's not evil, the snake's chill, but the snake sees something fast coming towards them. Recipe for disaster. We got to do better, y'all. We got to do better. And I'm not calling for, like Derek's Reptile, what he said in his video, we're not calling for cancellation. We're calling to cancel these people. We're calling to educate. We're calling to calling them in. They might not ever see these videos, but if they do, if any of those two keepers stumble across this video, all I ask is that you think before you do. You know your animals. You know your snakes. You know they're great. You know they're amazing. They're cool. And you've probably done 100 shows. But there's still a big risk, especially with children, because children are so unpredictable. The children in one class could be cool, chilling, sitting down. Or children in another classroom could be rambunctious, energetic, hyper, and just get up and go with no classroom management. And again, you know the risks of owning, keeping, working with venomous snakes, and you took that oath, you took that chance, but don't force those risks on other people. There's a proper way to educate and do these educational shows without putting someone at risk. And again, I wish we were South Africa when it comes to reptiles, especially venomous, but we're not. This is America. Your actions, your mistakes, your stupidity, for lack of better terms, can fall on the rest of us. And we all get punished lawfully because of what you did. So those are my 2 cents. This is from a perspective of someone who is a teacher and someone who do educational shows. And again, I'm not hating on venom keepers. I'm not against venom keepers. I'm not saying venomous and venom keepers should not be able to educate people. But there is a proper, safer way where you're not putting more people at risk. You're good with your risks for your personal safety, but don't force that on others, especially small children. You can educate. We need more educators. We need more educational shows, but there's a proper way of doing it without forcing the risks. And that's my time. This is probably the longest vlog I've ever done, especially with the reptiles. So I'm going to end it here. Tell me what y'all think in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think this is being overblown? Do you think that those 2 handlers were irresponsible? Comment below. Let's have a proper discussion. Again, no hate to those people. Just here to educate and give a perspective of an actual elementary school teacher and how I would have felt if I was put in that situation of those 2, with the timber rattlesnake being touched by a child and the gaboon viper being handled free-handed in front of daycare age children. So comment down below, like, comment, subscribe. I'm your host, Prince Elias, and this is Snake Prince Vlogs. Peace.